A gold heist and the legend of the Dentist of Belgrade. This is the story of the treasure of the Cologne Cathedral. In November of 1975, two men climbed up the scaffold that was attached to the Cologne Cathedral. This church is a masterpiece of Gothic architecture and it is under constant repair. There's even a saying in Cologne that if there is no scaffold attached to the church, the city will fall. Or maybe it's even a world, I forgot, but you get the gist of it. So it's the middle of the night, two men climb up the scaffold and one of them is very slim, he is very slight. And this guy managed to bend away the wire of a burglar alarm that was in front of an air duct. Then he squeezed into the air duct and with the help of a rope ladder let himself down into the treasury of the Cologne Cathedral, while the other dude stood guard in the scaffold. And there's a third guy standing guard outside. The slim guy who is now inside the treasury is named Borislav. The guy on the scaffold is named William and the guy outside is named Ljubomir. And Ljubomir is the oldest of the three. He is in his 40s and he is the head of the whole operation. And he only had told Borislav and William about where they were about to break into 30 minutes before, because he rightly suspected that the two younger guys would hesitate to break into this very prestigious, very important church. But the allure of the treasury that was underneath the church was too big. So they broke into it. Back to Borislav inside the treasury. It is pitch black. It is super dark. And Borislav has only his headlamp to orientate himself. But he knows what he wants to steal. So he gets 12 bishop rings and a couple of monstrances. The monstrance is the sacred vessel that is used in church to show the congregation the sacred wafer. And he also stole a plate, and this plate was made out of pure gold. Everything was made out of gold and everything was also beset with jewels and diamonds. So Borislav works quickly, but unfortunately for him, he drops one of the monstrances and he makes a lot of noise. This alerts the two guards of the church who are making rounds. But these two guards are elderly men. These are gentlemen in their 70s. So the two of them go down to the basement and they look through the keyhole and they see movement and they see light, but they don't have keys. So first, these elderly men have to get the guy with the keys and then they come back. During the time it took to open the door, Borislav and his two accomplices were long gone. The police quickly suspected that Ljubomir was behind the break-in because in the past he did similar things, just not on this larger scale. So they went to Ljubomir and took a look around in his apartment, but they did find nothing and had to go, and Ljubomir and his girlfriend took the next plane to Belgrade in former Yugoslavia and they were gone. So were his younger accomplices. So the thieves outsmarted the police. And the prosecutor of Cologne, with the legendary nickname Bloody Mary, decided that if the police could not make any progress, they should work together with a private detective who had also a very legendary name, Werner Mauss. And yes, Mauss means mouse in German. So Bloody Mary decided that the police should work together with the best mouse Germany had to offer to bring the treasure back to Cologne. And so Mauss traveled to Belgrade. There he called himself Jacques and pretended to be this big-time criminal. He first targeted the younger guys, Borislav and William, who were in their 20s. He gave them a couple of jobs, earned their trust, and soon the two of them started bragging and said, "We were behind this heist in Cologne, you know, the big cathedral, that was us." And Jacques was like, "No way, I don't believe you. You did not pull this through. This is way too big for you guys." And the two of them were like, "Excuse me? It was us. And if you want, you can buy some of the treasure off of us. Are you interested?" And Jacques said, "Well, if you have the treasure, let's see it, and I will buy it off you." And so it happened. William and Borislav brought their share of the treasure to Werner Mauss, aka Jacques, and he bought this stuff from him, took it back to Germany and gave it to the people of the church. They examined it and said, "This is actually part of our treasure." Of course, heartbreakingly, everything was already broken into pieces. So the jewels were apart, the diamonds were apart, and the gold was melted down. Now, Jacques and the police had to catch the thieves together with the treasure. So Jacques returned to Belgrade and gave Borislav and William a new job. He said, "Bring this car from Serbia to Stockholm. And the plan was they would catch the guys in Switzerland. And for this, the Swiss police faked a construction site on a highway. This forced traffic into one lane. But the police also prepared the car beforehand. When Borislav and William were on the highway in Switzerland and had to go into this one lane next to the construction site, a button was pushed and the engine broke down. The car rolled ahead and it bumped into a Swiss police car. And the Swiss police were like, hey, you cannot do this. Papers, passports, please. Get out of the car. So they checked the passports who were fake. So they checked the papers of the car. It was stolen. And then they broke the car apart. And what did they find? They found the stolen treasure of the Cologne Cathedral. The two of them were arrested and they were confronted with the evidence, and soon they confessed. But they also told them there is this third guy who was the head of the whole operation, Ljubomir. And Ljubomir is still in Belgrade. And he is far more suspicious and maybe not as stupid as the younger guys. So Jacques returns again to Belgrade. And he had to do a lot of work to get Ljubomir to agree to meet him in Italy, in Milan, just to talk about a job. But Ljubomir, who did not know at this point that his younger colleagues were already arrested, already in prison, came to Italy carrying weapons. And if you know anything about Europe, you know that carrying weapons, no matter if they are concealed or not, is forbidden by law. The minute the Italian police saw Ljubomir approaching, he was down on the ground and the clothes were basically ripped off of him to get to the guns, and that was it. Now the police had all of the thieves, but not all of the treasure. They managed to get a search warrant for Ljubomir's house in Belgrade. There they found a suitcase with more of the treasure, but still about 10% were missing. And now we come to the dentist. You see, Ljubomir lived in a part of Belgrade where the rich and famous of the socialist elite of Yugoslavia lived. And he was friends with the dentist. The theory is this dentist was the guy who melted down the gold. And as payment for his services and keeping his mouth shut, he could keep part of the gold. And what does a dentist do with gold? He uses it to fill the teeth of his rich and famous clients. So the last part of the treasure of the Cologne Cathedral is inside the teeth of former socialist Yugoslavia. And if you visit the new Treasury of the Cologne Cathedral, which is far more secure today, you can see one of the monstrances that they were able to repair. And you can ask yourself if the dentist from Belgrade ever came to the Treasury to see where his gold came from. And with this bombshell, I thank you so much for watching. See you next time.